So I was just getting ready to start finishing off the back end of this 6-speed I got here, and probably one of the worst things happened on the way to finishing up this transmission. Usually what happens with these transmissions, if they've been apart before or opened before, there's a good chance that one of these case thread bolts, not the bolts, but the actual threads on the case will strip out on you. And the way the procedure goes is you gotta set the case on here with your silicone, put all your bolts in, torque all your bolts down, and it could be the first bolt, it could be the last bolt, and that bolt will just keep spinning and spinning and it will not torque up. And that's because the threads will strip out. And then at that point, you gotta pull the bolts out, you gotta pull the case back off, you gotta clean your surfaces again, start all over. And once you have everything off, you can repair the thread that you have to repair and then go back forward and finish the assembly. Now, what makes this one interesting is it was not a case bolt. It was actually my detent plug on the top of the transmission. So I had just put the case on, I got my bolts in, I torqued them all up, and I was threading in my plug for the detent. Now, when I took this out for the first time, it didn't give me any problems, but there was a bunch of Teflon or maybe some white Permatex thread sealant at the base of the head here. And when I went to put this back in, I couldn't get it to torque up. You know, I got it to snug down, but it was not tight enough for me to be okay with it. So I pulled it back out just so I can inspect the threads. I was like, maybe I missed something. And as it was coming out, it didn't want to come out straight. It was coming out on an angle. And at that point, I knew I was gonna be in for a ride, because what also makes this interesting to install or take out is what I was talking about before. This is spring loaded, so you're gonna have some tension on this plug. And if this plug is not threaded in correctly and you're backing it out, it's gonna get all crooked and cross-threaded and end up in a situation like I'm in right now. Now, I do have a little bit of threads at the bottom still there. See, you count 1, 2, 3 towards the bottom of this bore, and the rest of it is gone. But those 3 threads at the bottom don't even touch the plug, so they're pretty much useless. And then if we keep going, we have a nice, I guess, cylinder, you could say, with a bushing pressed into there, and that's where that plunger goes into. So I'm gonna have to drill this out to the end of those 3 threads, and I'm gonna put a thread inside of here. Got our thread repair kit. Oh, look at that. See how that works. There goes something. Definitely don't want to go too far here. I think that's it. Get you guys a close-up here. Really take your time getting it started, because you'll reach a point of no return. We're looking pretty good so far. And we've reached the point of no return. See where we're at. We can clean off our tap at the same time. We're about halfway, maybe a little bit more than half. I'm gonna clean this off, give that a little vacuum. We got our tap all cleaned up. Don't want to go too far, especially when you get towards the end. Just want to make sure, take your time. Just go a little bit, like little by little. And I think we might be at the end here, because I mean, this tab only starts cutting, you know, when you get to about here, more or less. And I think the rest of this is bottoming out before I can keep threading it. And I can't go any further. Oh, maybe I can. Yeah, there it is. That's the end right there. All right, there it is, all tapped out, all cleaned out. It's really important you keep it clean in there, guys. You don't want any debris when you go to put this thread inside. And I do see a little bit in there, a couple dots. I don't know if it's a casting hole, but I'm gonna get those out. Another thing to mention, not all of the threads that you're gonna do, you're gonna use all these. Depends how deep the hole is that you're going into. And in this case, we're gonna have to trim this when we're done, because it's not gonna take this whole thread right here. I don't know how I feel about this one. My other thread insert tools, they fit tight around the outside of the thread, and this has a lot of play, so it might make it a little difficult to get in there straight, but we'll see how this goes. Just want to show you guys the difference here between this Helicoil repair kit and what I'm used to using. So here's the one I just pulled out. You can see that this actually threads on to the tool, and it's locked on there. It's easier to insert, and it locks on this raised edge on the back side. Right there. And then what we got is this loosey-goosey stuff happening, and I don't like it. It's probably gonna make it harder to install, but we'll see how that goes. Basically what's gonna happen is this tang on the end is gonna get caught in the tool as we screw it in there, and then at the end we're gonna tap that tang off. It's got a little relief cut on it right there, so it's already halfway cut through, and then we're gonna have to go back and trim the excess. All right, here goes nothing. Definitely don't like this tool. Yeah, it's so hard to get this thing centered. Also, another point, you can't go back either. You will reach a point where you cannot go back. So if it doesn't go in straight, you got to cut it off and restart. I think that's it. I also kind of like to gauge where the last thread is at the top, where it's just past the surface, and it looks to be right about here. So let me just cut the main part of this off, and then I'll go back and get the rest. Well, just lost my wheel. All right, round two. Lost another one. All right, round three. See if we can tuck that in there. There we go. Well, that worked out pretty nice. Now we just got to get rid of this tang. See if I can work it. There it is. All right, let's see how I did. Not bad, not bad. Now let's see if this bolt or this plug will tighten up. Oh yeah, tightens up. We got a successful repair. What a relief. All right, now let's see if this all goes back in there. No problem. All right, that's good. And I think that's where the issue is, this tension on this. There we go. Look at that. Well, that was the perfect way to end my day. Successful repair. Now I can finish this transmission, put everything back together, and move forward.